action.
Okay, so in this first video, what I'm going to be doing is marking out the pattern, the paper pattern for my simple pleated mask template. So what I'm going to work on first is just draw my first rectangle, which is the outer shape. You'll notice that the pattern there is going to be placed on the seam of the fabric to create a double layer. So we're going to place it on the seam at the bottom there to create two layers when we're cutting out the fabric piece. So I'm just going to create a rectangle first, which is 200 by 150 millimeters or 20 centimeters by 15 centimeters. Now, when you're drawing, I suggest using a sharp pencil to mark out your work. I'm just going to be using a felt pen here just so that you can see it clearer on your diagram. So to draw my rectangle, I use my ruler, place it up on my grid. I'm using grid paper to make things a bit easier, and I'm starting obviously at 0 because I'm using a steel rule here and marking just across the line there. Okay, so that's my 200 measurement there. I don't need to write the measurements on or anything like that because I'm going to be cutting this fabric, template pattern out. Now on the side, going down at 90 degrees there, I'm going to go from 0 again and go all the way to 150 millimeters or 15 centimeters to create my outline. And then I'm just going to complete this shape here, again going 20 millimeters up. It doesn't matter if you kind of go longer than this or overlap. In fact, it probably makes things a little bit easier because obviously you're going to cut off the excess material over here anyway. So that's my basic shape. That's going to be placed on the pattern there. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is just mark my seam allowance onto this so I can transfer it easily over to the document. So my seam allowance that I'm going to allow here is quite generous, but 15 millimeters or 1.5 centimeters. I'm just showing you there on the ruler. I'm going to put a little mark there, and I'm going to put the same mark up the top. Obviously I can see the grid lines there, but it's always good practice like this, so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to mark a point down 15 millimeters so I kind of know where I'm going to stop my line. Okay, so this being a seam allowance, what I'm going to do is just a simple dashed line like this, because obviously I know this is where I'm going to be stitching my template. I'm going to stop there at 15 millimeters, and again I'm going to continue over to this side. So on the other side there, I'm just marking a point that's 15 millimeters down, which is there, and just 15 millimeters in. So again, I know where my seam is going to end, and I'm going to do this same over here. So I'll just do this quite quickly so we can kind of see. I suggest you take a little bit of time over this, obviously, so your work is neat and you know what you're drawing and you're stitching. Okay, and then finally just taking this down, I obviously know that that's going to go all the way to the end, and it's maintaining that distance of 15 millimeters. Okay, so there's my simple pattern. You'll notice we're going to put a pleat on this later, but obviously because the fabric's going to be inverted, we can mark that on later on in the process. So that's the basic template or pattern drawn out.